My name is Emilia Zankina. I'm the Dean of Temple University Rome campus and Vice Provost for Global Engagement of Temple University, and I'm an Associate Professor in Political Science. What I research is populism and political parties, public administration reform, and gender representation, and I'm an expert on Eastern Europe and on Bulgaria. So it was very interesting working on this report. Bulgaria is an interesting case. It is the most pro-Russian country in the EU, and the pro- and anti-Russian divide has been the longest-standing division within Bulgarian society. With the war in Ukraine, this division was further accentuated, even though in recent years corruption and anti-corruption, status quo versus new parties have been more dominant as issues. The war in Ukraine really took us back to this polarization of Bulgarian society, where before the war, 58% of the population reported positive attitudes towards Russia and towards Putin. Fortunately, Bulgaria as a state at the time took actions aligned with the European Union. So Bulgaria took part of the sanctions, accepted refugees, condemned the referenda, also diversified its gas supply, so it went along with the European Union, but this was not without, of course, fierce political opposition by several political actors. What is interesting in the Bulgarian case is that pro-Russian attitudes and those pro-Russian actors and opposition to the war actually come not only from radical right parties, but they also come from mainstream parties. So the longest standing defender of Russian interests in the country has been the former Communist Party, the Bulgarian Socialist Party. At the current moment also we have a president, Rumen Radev, who was nominated as an independent candidate by the Socialist Party in 2016 and is now serving in his second mandate. He has been also a stark supporter of Russian interests, opposing the sanctions, arguing against sending weapons, and cautioning against deepening of the conflict. The probably most eccentric pro-Russian political actor in the country has been a new nationalist party called Revival, and its very eccentric leader, Kostadin Kostadinov. This is a party that is anti-EU, anti-NATO, very pro-Russian, that stages rallies all the time. And when doing that, you would see more Russian flags in the crowd than probably Bulgarian flags. So it is explicitly pro-Russian. This party has been able to gain momentum and benefit greatly, first from the pandemic and anti-vax attitudes and frustrations with the economic downturn, and now also from the war. So it managed to steal votes from the socialists as well as all other prior radical right parties in the country, and it moved from having 1% in 2017 to having over 10% in the latest election. What is important to note is that the war in the war in Ukraine coincided with political instability in Bulgaria. We have witnessed 4 parliamentary elections, and the 5th one is scheduled next month. Out of those, only the first one was regular, and since then the configuration in parliament has been impossible and not conducive to forming a coalition government. So those frustrations and instability has certainly benefited Revival and its ability to attract votes. What is important to note about the Bulgarian case, despite the strong pro-Russian attitudes, that all those 4 elections, even though they produced fragmented parliament, in the aggregate we see very definitive pro-European attitudes. If anything, Bulgarians have proven that they do support European values, they do support democracy, even if they cannot agree on which party is best at forwarding those. So the bottom line is that, yes, the war has had negative effects on political discourse. It has polarized political discourse. It has fueled nationalist sentiments for radical right parties. But this vote has remained relatively marginal, and it has not increased in the overall. Even if today this party has 10% of the vote, 10 years ago, radical right parties had a similar percentage. So I think the positive takeaway from this is that the war has strengthened European values in the country, has allowed the country to gain independence from Russia in terms of trade and gas supplies, and has busted the myth that Bulgaria could not survive without Russian economic support.